July 30th, 2023. It's about the start of the Sturgis Motorcycle Rally, so you'll hear a bunch of bikes behind me. Sorry for my voice ahead of time. It's going to be motorcycles for like a good week and a half. The Sturgis Motorcycle Rally goes from the first week of August, which is the 1 through 7, but then it's also kind of the last week of July and the second week of August as the bikes clear out. Because while they're here, they go to Sturgis for that week, off and on, but then they also come up in the hills. Today I'm in Custer, South Dakota. I ended up quitting Worldwide because they were just too slow. They left me in Dallas 6 days. They almost left me in Grand Junction 4 days. I'll never forget the other thing, but I basically told them if I'm going to sit, I'm going to go home and sit. So I decided after watching a bunch of YouTube videos about DoorDash and Uber Eats to sign up for doing that. So I am in my Geo, which I originally bought for to put a tow bar on it to tow behind the trucks, transporting trucks. But while I was sitting in Dallas those 6 days at DFW Airport, I kind of decided I needed a shift, a change in my life, and needed to not drive 10 hours a day. DoorDash, I'm signed up for the shift for 10 hours a day, but it's not driving the entire time. As you can see, I'm just sitting here waiting. Custer and Hill City, South Dakota, I'm not sure if they have anything for DoorDash. It says that they're on there, the market's on there, but they're really slow. I was in Hill City last night for the dinner rush, and there was no dinner rush. I sat there for 4 hours during the 4 to 8, I think it was 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. trying to get the dinner rush or something, but I guess nobody orders DoorDash. I thought this week maybe I'd get higher tips from bikers and whatnot if I came up in the hills and did it. And mostly I wanted to start DoorDashing in Rapid City, but DoorDash has me limited now. After the first 3 weeks as a dasher, as a new dasher, you were on as a top dasher by default, so you get the higher priority runs. You get basically more action than anybody else does unless they're newer than you. And I spent the first week of that, I was on DoorDash, but I wasn't DoorDashing. I was just riding around with my friends in Miles City, checking out what they do with it on their accounts, which in hindsight is probably a mistake on my part. I probably should have waited. And then I went to Shatter, Nebraska to hang out with my mom and fix these cars and do a bunch of other stuff while I was DoorDashing down there. Shatter is pretty good. It's got, let's see, out of the 6 days I was down there, I had like 3 $30 days, 2 $16 days. One day I didn't make nothing because my mom was on. I had started my mom DoorDashing on her phone, and so I was riding around with her. And then I had a couple $50 days. So on average, you could probably figure on getting between 30 and 50 bucks a day almost every day in Shatter, Nebraska, which isn't bad for a part-time gig. For someone who has a fixed income like my mom does on Social Security, and then just needs a little extra money here and there, DoorDash is perfect for that down there. Especially if you're someone who has all that a whole day available to go take a run whenever it comes up. So my mom is doing that as basically, well, she's on Social Security, but basically they let her work up to like $1,000 a month or something like that. Can't go over what her actual benefits are, which is like somewhere around $1,200 or $1,300, somewhere in there. I think she can't go over $1,000 or something in a month making money, income of herself each month without it screwing her Social Security up. But she only needs to come up with $400 a month to make the difference between food and rent each month down there, and that gives her something to do. So I helped set her up on that one while I was down there for the week. And then while I was DoorDashing, I wanted to start in a slower market. So I came down to Shatter, Nebraska to start DoorDashing instead of trying to do Rapid City right off the bat without knowing what I was doing. Rapid City was busy for the lunch hour the other day, the few hours I got to do it. I think it was 10 to 2, maybe, somewhere in there. That DoorDash let me go on a dash, but they are scheduling me now because I'm past the 3rd week. Really, I made the mistake. I should have done my first week in Shatter and then took advantage of the 2 weeks in Rapid City and kind of proved myself at the ratings before I got pushed off of Top Dasher. But I'll have to make up for that now, because when you drop off a Top Dasher, then you have on by schedule only in the busier markets like Rapid City. So this is my DoorDashing setup for the next couple months. I decided to use this car because, I mean, it's a nice gas saver. Yesterday cruising around doing DoorDash and Uber Eats, probably about 50 miles worth, I think it was, back and forth around Rapid City, and then the 40-mile trip up into Hill City and down to Custer, all included 90, 100 miles. I only paid 13 bucks in gas for that, so it's a pretty good gas saver. So I figured I would use this for the next couple months while the weather's nice, because it's the only time of the year that you can use this, since I originally bought it to put a tow bar on it and tow behind the truck since it's nice and lightweight, but now since I switched gears on that, I decided I'll use it as a door dashing vehicle for the summertime, because, you know, might as well save gas while you do it. And then it is handy to have the roof down like that, so you can just reach over and get food from the other side. You pull up to the street curb, like down the other side of the street there, to a house, and then you walk around the car and grab the food and go up to the door, which is pretty swift and pretty handy. Keeps the food all hot. I might buy like a cooler to help keep the drinks colder, I'm thinking, but at least, you know, that'll be the summertime roll. That's if DoorDash picks up. The problem is, because of the scheduling, they only let me on DoorDash for that 4-hour run yesterday, the 10 to 2 in Rapid City, and then they wouldn't let me on the dinner rush at all. But you can schedule out to a week out, and I have next Thursday, today is Sunday, I have next Thursday the dinner and the lunch rush, the lunch and dinner rush scheduled, the 10 to 2 and the 4 to 8, I think, in Rapid City. Let me do that. And then Friday I'm on from 11 a.m. in Rapid to all the way to 8, the whole entire day, and I just left it on like that way because I have to schedule my dashes. I don't know if they do that like that on purpose to keep you on there or what. But I got those 2 days scheduled. The problem is I have Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday to do something with. That Rapid City only showed 3 to 4 o'clock in the afternoon as an availability. Yeah, you can hang out in Rapid, check it every other hour and see if you can dash now. Doing DoorDash, people doing DoorDash know what I mean, where you can just click on it and go to dash instead of have to wait to schedule and go in. That occasionally pops up now when they're busy, because it limits how many dashers they have on, because keeping people like me off of it keeps the people who are the regulars with higher rate more availability, more runs, and the newer dashers in that area more runs, because I don't fall into the new dasher category anymore. So that's how DoorDash works. Uber Eats is available anytime you want. They don't do scheduling, which is good, but the downside to that is it looks like Uber Eats was $4, $5, or $6 a run, and they try to get you to do a 15-mile round trip for that price. Like, who would do that? And then they try to say there's hidden tips. So I took 4 trips the other day that made some sense. I took a $3 trip that was a 5-mile round trip thing, because I figured, you know, a little under $1 a mile, it's not too bad. I can get my feet wet, so to speak, and do Uber Eats and see what it does with tips. Then I did take a Box Elder run, but I only took Rapid City to Box Elder, which is the 15-mile round trip that I'm talking about, either out to from Rapid City to Black Hawk, which is a suburb on the west side, or from Rapid City to Box Elder, which is kind of a suburb on the east side. Either one is about a 15-mile round trip, because it's 5 or 6 miles out of town and back. And anyway, I took a Box Elder run just simply because they stacked an order where Box Elder 7 miles out, and then I pick up at the Thai restaurant. I don't know even know how you say it. Like a Thai restaurant out in Box Elder, and brought food back into Rapid. So I kind of had like a backhaul, so to speak. I had 7 miles paid out and 7 miles paid back into Rapid, and that's the only reason I took it, because they somewhat guaranteed that, and it did work out where I could stop and pick that order up at the restaurant, and then go back into Rapid City with it. So I made it work. But Uber Eats, unless they go up and rank, like the more and more you do it or something, I'm not sure Uber Eats is gonna pan out, because I'm not sure I want to do $4 or $5 for 15 miles round trip and then hope that their little hidden tips pay something. I did get some hidden tips. I got an $8.84 hidden tip after the fact, and then when you complete your shift with Uber Eats, about an hour after you complete your shift, then you get to see all the tips come through, which I think is stupid. That must be a way they're trying to incentivize you to keep going, you know. The more and more you do it, you might get more and more tips or something, you know, but it's like they're controlling the tips, not the customers. It was a slime ball feeling all around. Kind of like Victory truck movers, you know, and the way they slime balled, the way they did stuff, you know. Uber Eats is kind of that slime ballish type of feeling where they're not being honest up front with you. You know, you should be able to see your tips within an hour after you drop the run, you know, because like with DoorDash, you see the tips immediately, unless they add a tip later on. When you complete it, you're done. There's your tips. There's everything that you got, unless they add some later, which sometimes some customers do that, you know, after they eat, or the next time they go to dash, it prompts them to tip your last dasher if they didn't do it. So you get tips later on too, like that, but it doesn't hide it all until the end of the shift, like Uber Eats. So there's things I'm learning. I just wanted to show you the setup that I've got. I made with my mom's help, we made a homemade cup holder thing out of I think they're bathroom cleaner caddy or something, shower caddy. I think they call them shower caddy, but you're supposed to use them for the cleaning products for the shower, I think. We had to put some foam in there to make the drinks actually fit. And, you know, make a compartment for drinks on that side. In case I get 4 drinks, at least I have some kind of option. And then she used a basket that fits that almost perfectly, just missing another little inch there, so we foamed that up on the side. Put an old slate tile that my mom's landlord had at her house. She has a few of them that she was trying to get rid of anyway, to weigh the basket down so it didn't go everywhere. And then I could put my food in there, drinks in there. Still got room for everything else. This isn't just a table for DoorDash though. As you can see, I took the seat out. Maybe later on in a later clip I can show you, but basically I have a big foam thing in the trunk with a blanket. I can show you that part, because it's at the top of the trunk. Just a second. But I don't want to move everything around in the trunk itself to show you yet, so I'll have to do a nighttime setup video. But this is how I run it during the day, top down. And the thing, because the windows, this car was in Minnesota, and a cop pulled the guy over and said he couldn't have the tint that he had on the windows, and so this car has leftover goo on the windows from the tint, as you can see there. You can see through it, but it's kind of iffy. I do like that for at night though. When you roll it up, when you park at night, people can't really see in there until they come clear up to you. So it does actually work for stealth at night. But during the day, and then the fact that it's convertible and nice weather, you might as well have the top down, especially since it does have AC and heater and all that, but basically it only has defrost. All that doesn't work anymore. The radio doesn't work. Nothing. It was a pretty cheap throwaway car they built these Geos as. 3-cylinder, of course. That right there, as you can see, it holds a shape on the one side. That red bar is to hold the trunk up, because the whole trunk doesn't hold itself up. Then I have a bag underneath there and a sleeping bag underneath it. Bag of clothes and a sleeping bag. And that bed is shaped to fit like that board. 4-inch foam all the way around there like a bed. And then I have a couple pieces of foam I can put there for my feet to go into the pass-through. This is the pass-through into the trunk. There's this side deal, and then in the trunk side there's a deal that flips up, that are both cloth, that when you're not really looking at it, it almost looks permanent. This of course is the roof, folds down into that bracket underneath there, but there's a pass-through underneath that I can fit my legs in, because I'm 6 foot tall, but this is only 4, maybe 5 foot across. So I sleep there at night, put a pillow that way, try to park the car a little bit uphill. The foam itself is set as a little bit uphill that way, but basically you try to make the bed so that it runs that way, so your head's taller than your feet for your blood pressure and whatnot, so the blood don't go to your head. And then I would have the roof up, and then I'd have my goofed up windows that are covered with that goop from the tint on the sides. And I am eventually gonna buy a $30 roll of Reflectix and a $10 roll of black outdoor garbage bags, because it took me 6 years into car camping, and I found a video on YouTube that says to do that. Do a $30 roll of Reflectix and a $10 roll of black outside garbage sacks, and literally shape the window out of the Reflectix, cover that with the garbage bags. And you wouldn't think a garbage bag would work, but when you put it up next to the window, even when the windows are not tinted, at night it just blacks the whole thing out. I was amazed the first time I used it. And so that's obviously going to be the thing here, and I'm even going to use it as a window cover, same thing. Window cover is going to be a little tricky because they took off the visors. You're supposed to use the window visors to hold the cover in place, you know, or kind of usually on most vehicles, but someone took them off, and I can see why they took them off. They're kind of stupid and in your way when you have the hood down, or the roof down, I mean, so they had took them off. But what I'm thinking about doing is putting a piece of Velcro along there and Velcro the cover on for the windshield. And then, of course, you shape the windows, and the back, the roof part, the back window thing is plastic that folds down in there, and I'll have to cover up too. Well, I don't have to, but just for my own well-being, I guess. I mean, because you can, when you walk up to the car, because of, you know, the height of it alone, with the roof up, you have to kind of lean down to even look in, especially from the curb, you know. And with those gooped up windows, I could technically get away with what I've got already, but I just kind of want to black it out inside. I think it would look a little better too if I blacked it out, maybe. But I have to show you that in a future video maybe sometime. But I just thought I'd show you how I'm running DoorDash and Uber Eats. And I just basically, I switched from transporting to DoorDash and Uber Eats because I want to hang out in the hills this summer. And mostly I want to live in Rapid City, but I came up here to run the DoorDash for Custer lunch, because DoorDash has a schedule for all day long in Custer, but Hill City's blew up on me last night and didn't have nothing. So I don't know why DoorDash even puts it on the market if nobody orders from there. You know, I hope Custer's not this dead, but so far I'm not hearing that phone go off. But I have the Super Mario's theme set, the theme song or whatever you want to call it from Nintendo game, Super Mario Brothers, on my DoorDash phone, and so whenever I hear that, I know I got an order. And in Shattern, Nebraska, like I say, it paid 30 to 50 bucks on a run, and Shattern had $3 peak pay, which is like bonus pay, and $2.50 base pay, so bare minimum you'd make $2.50 every order, but then plus the $3 peak pay, and then plus your customer tips. Every time down there, we were getting, the lowest order I got was $6.75, and the majority of the time we got $7.75 or $9.25. One time I think I got 11 bucks, which doesn't sound like much, but when you figure round trip from the house down to the furthest restaurant out in Shattern was the Runza, I think, back to wherever it's got to go in Shattern, a maximum of 4 miles every single time. And that's like if you went as far as you could go on either side of Shattern. Shattern's only about 2 miles across in either direction, south, north, east, or west. And so when you're doing $7.75 or $9.25 for 4 miles, you know, and then that's just saying at max. But a lot of our time, our runs were a mile to the store and a mile to whoever's place and half a mile back to the house. So my mom could afford to commute, essentially, from her house and still not gain much miles, because her house is half a mile away from home businesses, because Shattern's that small. Shattern has 5,000 people. Miles City, Montana has 8,000 people. And I got to see how Travis and a couple other friends do DoorDash in Miles City with 8,000 people. It was slightly busier, but the thing is, Travis was taking $3 for 10 miles trips and stuff like that, and you gotta add it up in your head that in the long run that doesn't pay off, because you're using your car, the wear and tear in your car, and your time to go the 10-mile round trip. That takes at least 10 minutes. That's if you're fast, you know, for $3. It just didn't make sense. But he was doing it to take it every single trip, no matter how good or bad it was, because he wanted to keep his ratings up. Well, when I did videos myself for DoorDash, I see that your acceptance rating doesn't really matter, depending on the market. Mostly doesn't really matter. Your completion rating obviously matters, because you can complete the orders, and your customer orders, or your customer rating matters the most. And so your acceptance or decline thing, yeah, they want to do somewhere between 50% and 80% or something of the runs that you take or whatever, but it still gives you some leeway to not take really crappy runs. But so far I've not seen anything really crappy for DoorDash. Even in DoorDash in Rapid City, what little they did let me schedule from 10 to 2 the other day, I had a $16 run, I had an $11 run. It was pretty nice with their peak pay offers and stuff that they did have in Rapid when you do get to do it. But I was very limited on the schedule. I don't know if I was just because I was just there showing up or what, or if I'm too new, because I'm only about 35 deliveries in or something. I'm not exactly sure why I'm limited. Maybe just a bunch of dashers there, I don't know. But you know, they're different than Uber Eats. Uber Eats has been doing $4 to $6 for trying to get you to do 15-mile round trip for that. How in the world does that make sense? You know, I mean, 15-mile round trip in this, I can probably make it happen, being that I have a more fuel efficient vehicle. But this, even 100 miles, is $13 for 100 miles to go around. So you figure, let's say it was 10 miles a trip times 10 trips that you could do with Uber Eats. So 10 trips you do with Uber Eats, let's say, to make the math easier, let's go 5. So 10 times 5 would be 50. Yeah, so $50 worth you'd make, and you'd have to turn around and pay $13 in gas to do that 100 miles worth for Uber Eats, and then any profit would lay in hidden tips, whether you got tips or not. You know, and I just don't see the reason being, because 10 trips is going to take you 10 miles a trip, 10 minutes of time, 2 hours, couple hours or something to do 10 trips. That's if they did it back to back. You know, a couple hours you can make $50. You have to turn around and put 13 in gas, so I would make $35 roughly. And then you can figure the food for the day alone for me to eat, watching what I spend, is probably $20 worth of that. So I'm down to like $15 I made, and then plus whatever tips. Just, I don't know how it really makes sense. I could maybe try and make it make sense with this car. I could do that, but come wintertime in 2 months, I'm going to be doing these deliveries in one of my SUVs, and they don't do what this does in gas, but they won't be able to work in the wintertime. Of course, they can't use this. This is then useless in the winter. Nice fuel efficient car for the summertime though. But my SUVs are going to be 4 times that in gas. Probably take me $40. Oh no, 30, 20 to $30 worth or something, give or take, depending on how many miles you did and stuff like that. But still, more gas, and I'm still the same amount that I'm making. So I don't know if this is going to be, I mean, it's profitable, especially when you're living in your car and you don't have any extra bills. It's way profitable then. But if I want to afford a $600 a month apartment, I don't know, unless I can get on DoorDash all the time and be able to do Uber Eats around it. I'm not sure I can make an income of it, like a full-time enough income of it. I was almost doing better in Shatter, where they did $30 to $50 a day, but you had to sit there all day on it. But at least they let you on the schedule all day to try, you know. Whether that makes a huge difference or not, I don't know. But I know I'm parked in the handicap, but it's Sunday, so the courthouse is closed anyway. But being able to make a steady enough income, I don't know. Part-time, yeah. Guaranteed part-time, but they're saying on the video, but that might be way huger cities like LA or Denver or something. But Rapid City should be big enough. It's got, I forget what it said, 70,000 I think in there. So you mean 10 times the amount of Miles City. You know, 15, well not 15, but about 11 times the amount of Shatter, Nebraska, for people that, you know, should increase the customer base. And then of course they have a hell of a lot of restaurants. I think it had 101 restaurants for DoorDash and 69 restaurants available for Uber Eats and Rapid. So I think the market would work out then, but I've got to get on the schedule to do it. And it's annoying because I have to schedule that far ahead. I mean, yeah, I'm not doing anything else, but what happens if something comes up and you have to, I mean, you can pause the dash for 30 minutes, but whatever comes up, it's more than 30 minutes, and you have to end your dash. You can't go right back on it. You know, to me, that's pretty limiting. Forces people to be on it, and that's probably why they're doing it, is to force people to stay on there. But I just don't like the way they schedule it. I wish you can pop on and pop off whenever you want, like their little emails try to tell you can. You know, but maybe Rapid City's market's different, where they only schedule it. So it's interesting because I bought this vehicle for towing behind trucks. I didn't buy it to actually do DoorDash, but for at least a couple months here it'll work out, I think, as a fuel saving efficient vehicle. I just thought I'd give you the updates. I'm Sunday and Monday I'm going to be in Custer trying to run the 11 to 8, because I can sign up for the schedule of 11 to 8 here, but so far nothing's happening. And then Tuesday, Wednesday I'm scheduled for 11 to 8 in Hill City, but I don't know if I'm even going to bother with either one of them. Depends on how the day goes. If the day picks up and I'm able to make some money and actually do something here, then obviously I'd stick around for tomorrow. But if nothing happens today, I'm probably just going to call it quits and go back to Rapid City and delete all the schedules for the rest of the week till Thursday and try to squeeze DoorDash in whenever I can in Rapid. You know, and I'm better off just looking at the lowball Uber Eats account or Uber Eats orders all week while I wait on DoorDash. I don't know. I just don't like how Uber Eats does that and does the hidden tips, and you see if you can make decent money at it or not. You know, you kind of just hope that you drive out here and you get, like, you know, because $8.84, I can't. I mean, maybe somebody tipped me that much, maybe, but I kind of tend to think that's more of an Uber Eats controlling it and making it look like you got this much tips and that much tips when they took the money. You know, to try to bribe you to keep going or something. It just feels like a slime ballish deal compared to, you know, I like how DoorDash, everything's just up front. I just don't like DoorDash's scheduling. Uber Eats, everything's, you know, $5. You could take $5 and then whatever you make on top of it, whatever you make on top of it. Otherwise, you just wasted your time for $5. You know, I mean, 15 miles for $5, and if that's all you get all the way there and back, doesn't make sense. I'd be running this machine off miles wise and not making the money. You know, I need to be making at least $1 a mile, which would be 5 miles for $5. To bare minimum $1 a mile to put up with the maintenance cost and then trying to get an apartment and whatnot. It's not going to happen at $5 for 15 miles unless a hell of a lot of hidden tips happen. And I don't like living like that in the hopes that enough hidden tips will happen this month. So Uber Eats is more of a side gig. DoorDash is more of the permanent thing if I can get on the schedule, which it looks like as long as I'm a week out ahead and schedule it the week ahead. You know, keep schedule every day they add. Like today I haven't scheduled yet for Saturday, but Saturday will show up now on the schedule for next week because I'm just thinking of it. When I get this video done, I should schedule myself on DoorDash and Rapid because you gotta do it the week out, which is fine. But like I say, if something come up for an hour long, you gotta go to the dentist for an hour, or somebody has kids that have to go to a ball game for a couple hours, anything goes past 30 minutes, they can't pause their dash past 30 minutes, or it just ends it. And then once they end it, if you're on the schedule, you don't get it again, unless they're busy enough and they let you go back on this dash now, from what my understanding of it is. But I just thought I'd show you the car and vent a little my frustrations, and so to speak. The main reason why I did this, though, why I quit Worldwide, it's kind of getting tired of traveling, but mostly it's gaining weight, and then I'm starting to develop driver foot from driving 10 hours at a day. DoorDash, I get to sit here part of the time, and mostly I switched to DoorDash so that I would force myself to get in and out of the car twice for every run. So I had 8 runs the other day between Uber Eats and DoorDash, so that was 16 times I got out of the car, because each time, you know, you get to count going to the restaurant and back, going to the customer's house and back. Did that every single time for every order, for 8 orders. So I was in and out of this car 16 times, which doesn't sound like much, but I'm just saying, over the long run, especially if I get busy doing that, I'll get in better shape. And that's what I wanted to do, was to lose some weight and do more walking on this foot instead of driving on it. Is the general idea. Kind of split the driving and the walking up. It forces me to get out and do something, because my health wise was going downhill driving 10 hours a day. I love driving, don't get me wrong, but my foot is paying for it, and then gaining weight don't help either. So I'm hoping to get back into some kind of better shape, which especially getting in and out of this short car should do it. But we'll see. So basically I'm hanging out in Custer today, hanging out in Hill City for 2 days after this 2-day thing here, unless this doesn't work out. So far there's nothing, but I mean, it's only 10:30, I think, something like that in the morning. It's not the dinner rush yet. 11 to 2 will be the dinner rush, or lunch rush, I mean, and then 4 to 8. But I basically scheduled all the way through the day, just so I'm available for them. If anybody does order, but so far it's nothing. Not worth. You know, I need to make at least, well, I mean, it only cost me like $13 to come up here. That's one good thing about it, fuel efficient wise. This was 50 miles worth in DoorDash in Rapid City, and 40 miles to come up here. So 90 to $100, or 100 miles only took $13 gas. So I need to make to get back to Rapid City, $5 worth of gas to make my time, at least my time worth it coming up here. But then I also want to buy a $30 pie that's over there at the Purple Pie House, because rhubarb pie is coming in season August 1st. But I could maybe talk them into letting me have a fresh one, since I bought 2 or 3 pies there. Maybe they're nice to me. Instead of having frozen rhubarb, I get fresh rhubarb. Not much of a difference, I just want to have it. But I need to make that money back, so I would like to make $40 while I'm up here at least. Because if not, then why'd I come up here other than just enjoy the hills? Which, don't get me wrong, I like being out here, and I might go out to the lake here in a minute. Maybe, while I wait. There's a small pond, like lake thing, just out of town. I'm just wondering if that would affect my being in the zone or not. They're like delivery zones or not. I have to drive out there to find out. It'll tell you on the dash thing, on the app, if you are out of zone. But I just thought I'd show you the setup. This was a complete accident. I mean, I needed the board and the foam for a bed. That was planned. But this ends up working perfectly as a table for DoorDash during the daytime. I have plenty of room to stack bags in here. I had 4 big old McDonald's bags the other day, and I was really happy I had all that space. Worked out over having that seat in there. But anyway, I thought I'd rant this over. Like and subscribe, leave comments, and I will catch you on the flip. Peace.